Begin today the Gemara towards the bottom of Daf Tzadik Beis Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom of the page. Gemara continues with, we learned already before, Amalei Rava, 3 lines. Gemara here went through a lot of different things in the conversation between Rava and Rabba Bar Mari, bringing sources from Sukkim to various different statements that people say. Amalei Rava le Rabba Bar Mari, Mina Milsa Damri Inshi. What's the source for the saying that people say? Kadavinon Zutri. When I was young, legavri. So people considered me to be an adult, a mature person. Hashra de kashishna. Now that I'm young, ledardiki. I got old, that is. Now when I got old, people look down at me like a child. So this is human nature. When a person is a youngster and he's strong and he's mighty and people look up to him, person gets old and frail, people start looking down at older people sometimes as little children. So what's the source for this? The Gemara really over here, it says in the Mefarshim, means also to say this Inyan B'nigayat, the person himself, that when a person is young, so a person realizes, a little bit of a different shot here, when a person is young, he realizes that he needs the bracha of the Eibishter, but then the older he gets, and he goes through life, and he gets things accomplished, and he starts feeling confident with himself, and he forgets a little bit that he has to rely on the Eibishter. So Amalei, so he answered him, Me'ikodik Siv. The pasuk says when Yidden came out of Mitzrayim, right? The Klal Yisrael was born when they came out of Mitzrayim. So originally when they came out, the pasuk describes Vashem hoylech lefneim yoimam. Who's leading the Yidden? The Eibishter himself. Ba'amadonam, with the cloud of glory, lanchaysum aderech, to lead the way, and v'layla ba'amadesh laharlem, and at night with the pillar of fire. So this is the Eibishter himself. So when Yidden were young, so that betochen in the Eibishter, they were following the Eibishter, and the Eibishter there himself was with them. But Alubsayv Ksiv, later on the pasuk says, the Eibishter says only a malach is going to go ahead of you to protect you on your way. So the Yidden got older and then the Yidden sinned. This is after Chet Egel. The Eibishter says there's only going to be a malach. So you see over here this Inyan. This is in the next parsha, Parshas Mishpatim. But then Moshe Rabbeinu afterwards begged the Eibishter that not a malach should go ahead of Yidden, and that the Eibishter himself should go ahead of Yidden. And Moshe Rabbeinu accomplished this through his davening. Amalei Rava le Rabba Bar Mari. Rava said to Rabba Bar Mari, Mina milsa damri inshi. What's the source of the saying people say? Basa mari nichsi, that if you go after a rich individual, tzivi mishayich, then you'll be able to get from him some fatness or some richness, that you'll be able to also get something from him if you hang around a rich person. Amalei, so he says, the pasuk says, Gam leloit ha'ilachas Avram, loit that went and joined Avram Avinu, ha'yitzaynu bakev ha'ilach. He also had sheep and cattle and tents from the richness of Avram Avinu. Okay, this is the conclusion of the Gemara, of all the different things that the Gemara says, Mina milsa damri inshi. That everyone spoke about this Inyan. The Gemara here, you have a whole Blatten Gemara, or Olam the Gemara, that's saying, Mina milsa damri inshi. Here you see the Inyan that there's a lot of things in the world that be'emes, you think that they're veltisha things, but their source really is in Torah. And you see it reflected in the world. The Torah is really the blueprint for everything that goes on in the world. And therefore things that you see in the nature of the world, the pnimius of it, really comes from Torah. That's why the Gemara is saying, that it all starts in Torah. So the Gemara Vaita, this is connected to something that was mentioned earlier on here on Daf Tzadik Beis, regarding davening for your friend, and if you daven for him, so then the Eibishter answers your tefillah first for yourself. So Amar Rav Chanan, a similar thing, Rav Chanan said, a person that has something that he got into something that someone else hurt him, or whatever it is, and instead of going to a bezdin to work it out, that he should pay you, whatever it is, instead he goes to the Eibishter. He gives over his din to the Eibishter. The Eibishter should judge this person that owes you, whatever it is. So then what happens is, this person himself could be punished first. The point here is, because when you give it over to the Eibishter, then the Eibishter judges. And the Eibishter could judge different than Bez and Shalmata judges. The Eibishter judges not only that person, but the Eibishter judges you yourself that gave over this thing to the Eibishter. Looks at you, maybe you deserve more of a punishment than him. And this person could be getting punished first. Shanema, as the pasuk says, "Vatoyim Sarai al Avram." Sarai says to Avram Avinu, "Chamasi alecha, I'm upset at you." And this is over there after Avram marries Hagar, and Hagar looks down at Sarah. So Sarah is complaining to Avram, "Why is it that as a result of what you did, that you married Hagar, now I'm being looked down at? You're not davening for me, that I should have a child." And she complained. She went and then davened to the Eibishter about this. Right, so she gave over this din to the Eibishter, so to speak. And the pasuk says, that Sarah passes away, and Avram comes to to mourn her, which means that Sarah really should have passed away in the same time when Avram did. And she passed away much earlier as a result of the fact that she was meiser, her din that she had on her husband Avram Avinu l'shamayim, and as a result, she passed away much earlier. But when is this true though? The Isla din ibara. If there's a bezdin where you can go and work out whatever it is that you have against your friend, then you're supposed to go to the bezdin. But if not, if there is no bezdin here that can work it out, so then you turn to the Eibusher, you daven to the Eibusher that he should work it out for you, and then there's no issue. Taisus here says that by Avram and Sarah as well, there was a bezdin in those times. There was the bezdin of Shem. And Sarah could have went to the Bezdin of Shem to work out whatever she had, the taina that she had to Avram Avinu. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Oiloi letzayik Yosem and Anitzak. The one that screams out to the Eibusher to help him from the one that's oppressing him. So he should be worried that the Eibusher will now judge him more than the one that is being screamed at, that this one is screaming for, about, that is. Look, Rashi says that this is going on the pasuk that says benigeh to almanis and yisaimim. So the pasuk there says, lashon of the pasuk. Did they bring it here on the side? Doesn't look like it. But the pasuk over there says that an almana and a yasim, that someone is oppressing them. So they scream out to the Eibishter, and the Eibishter v'chara api v'harakti eschem. So Rashi says the diak of our Gemara is it uses a plural term, eschem. Eschem refers both to the person that's oppressing, the almana or the yasim, but also the almana and yasim themselves that scream out to the Eibusher. The Eibusher judges them themselves, and sometimes even more than the one that's oppressing them. Tanya Nami Yachid, we learned this also in Abraisa, Echad Atzaik, Vechad Anitzak B'mashma. The term Eschem, a plural term, includes both. The Eibusher judges both of them. And not only that, Elashem Memad on Atzaik, Yesim and Anitzak, the one that's screaming out to the Eibusher, and he's the one that was matriach the Eibusher to come and pay attention to this matter. That's the way the Mefarshim explain it. The Eibusher scrutinizes him even more than the one that they're screaming about. Rabbi Yitzchak said, Loilam al tihi kilalas hedyet kalabei necha. This is in connection to something we learned before here, a story of Avimelech. So here the Gemara says that when you have even just a hedyet, a plain person that curses you, it shouldn't be something that you should take lightly. Shari Avimelech kilalas Sarah. Avimelech cursed Sarah, v'niskayim bezara, and that klala then was fulfilled by her son. Shenem, the pasuk says, Hine hu l'cha kesuseinayim, that this is for you something that will cover the eyes. Simple pshat of the pasuk over there is it refers to the fact that Avimelech gave Sarah back to her husband Avram and gave gifts and presents and made it in such a way that he says that people should not say anything bad about you. Kesuseinayim, it should be clear that I gave you gifts. But here the pasuk Gemara dashes it differently. Allah, he's telling you like this: since you covered my eyes, and you didn't reveal to me the truth that Avram is your husband, you caused me all this pain. It should happen that you should have children that should lose their eyesight. And and this curse, even though it comes from Avimelech, it happened by his son. When Yitzchak was old, his eyes were dimmed, he lost his eyesight. Rabavo says, person should always be amongst those that are being chased after, and not the one that chases others. Even though you have an opportunity to turn around and take revenge and chase others, but nevertheless you should accept facts, others chase you, and you should be in the category of those people. Amongst the birds, you don't have those that are being chased after more than the tairim and bnei yaina, the doves. And nevertheless, those are the birds that the Torah says are kosher to be used as a carbon on the mizbeach. Okay, now we go back to what it said in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, person that says that you could blind my eye. So what does the Mishnah say? Even if the person clearly says you can blind my eye, I'll manas that you'll be potter. But still, you're not allowed to blind his eye. But then the Mishnah says, if you tell a person you can tear my clothing, if he doesn't tell Almanas you be potter, you're not allowed. But if he says clearly, Almanas you be potter, you're allowed. So Ravasi Bar Chama asks Rave, what's the reason for the difference? What's the difference if it's when a person is giving you permission and telling you'll be potter regarding injuring his own body or regarding tearing his garments or any of his possessions? So the answer to the difference is as follows. Reish, in the beginning, when it's regarding injuring himself, So over here, when he says you can do this and you'll be pater, it doesn't mean anything. A person cannot be meichel regarding his own body to say, you can cut off my hand or you can injure me in such a kind of way. That mechila doesn't really mean anything. Because we understand this kind of mechila that he didn't really mean it. He probably was just very angry and he spoke in this ridiculous way, but he never meant it. Right? Or others say that when he says this, he may have thought that he could handle it and he's being meichel it, but a human being can't handle this. And we know that later he'll realize that he wasn't really meichel this. Amalei, so he asked him in this reasoning for the difference here, how about a case where a person is being injured, but not mamish such an extreme way to cut off a hand or something like that, but just pain, to cause a person pain. Is that something that a person in his right mind would be meichel? Now the Tanya, because we learned in a brayso that over here a person could be meichel. Hikani, pitzani, a person says to his friend, you can hit me, you can injure me. Almanas lifter, and he adds and says, and you'll be pater from this, pater. So the person is going to be pater. So the Gemara is asking, what's the difference? If you're telling me that a person in his right mind will not be meichel any pain or suffering in his own physical body, so why regarding our Mishnah where there's a real Kabbalah, we're talking about cutting off a hand or something, that you say a person's not meichel. And this over here, when a person would experience pain, a person would be meichel. A person in his right mind shouldn't be meichel this either. So what's the difference? So Ishtik, he was quiet, he didn't answer this question. Omar, he asked him, did you hear anything about this? Amalei, so he answered him, yeah, I did hear another pshat about this. Hachi Omer Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes says, Mishum Pagam Mishpacha. When it's a case in a Mishnah where the person is being injured, mamish, a real injury, so then it's not just for himself, but it becomes a blemish for the family. Therefore, because of the mishpacha, that a person can't be meichel for his family. But if it's just something that a person himself experiences pain, so that's something where it doesn't create a mamish, a blemish in his body, that's something that a person could be meichel. Itmer. But the Gemara brings about this though, that not everyone agrees to this. The two reasons we just brought are actually a machlekes. We learned that this was a machlekes. Rabbi Ishi says mishum pagam mishpacha. The reason why a person can't be meichel, a real chabala, that's a real blemish in his body, is only because of the pagam of his family. Rava though says mishum she'ein adam meichel al rosh evarim shalei. Like we said before, that a person can't be meichel regarding the rosh evarim, regarding his own limbs of his body. To be meichel that someone else could affect him and cut off a limb or cause him a real blemish, that a person is not meichel. In other words, apparently now the Gemara holds the question that it asked before is not a good question. Before the Gemara asked that if a person in his right mind is not meichel to cut off a rosh evarim, so then any pain shouldn't be meichel. Now the Gemara says it's not the same thing. Something which is painful, that a person could be meichel, but not this. Rabbi Yechanan says a different shadow actually. That no, be'emes, a person could be meichel beniged to even an injury and a real blemish that's caused in his very own body. A person does have the power to be meichel this. So what is the pshat then in our Mishnah, when the Mishnah says regarding his own body that he can't be meichel, and then regarding tearing my garments or breaking my kalim over there, a person could be meichel. He says a whole different pshat here. Yesh henshu kelav. Sometimes when a person says yes, and he really means no, don't do this, and the yesh lav shu kehein. And sometimes when a person says no, but it really means yes, you could do this. What does this mean? So Rashi's pshat on this Gemara here is that it depends in how you say it. If a person says yes, but he says it as like a wonder, like he said, yes, do you think I really mean this? He uses such an expression of yes, then it means no. So when the Mishnah over here says that someone told his friend, you can break my bones, you can cut off a hand, and his friend asks him, yes, and I'll be pater. And the person answers, you think yes? You think you'll be pater? He says yes. So then the yes means no. That's what the Mishnah meant when it said that you're not going to be pater. And then by the Sefer, when it says regarding the garments, and the person says that over there that you will be pater, even though the person says no over there. Over there, the person might say no, but it really means yes. And over there, the person says, you can tear my garments. And if friends ask him, if I'll tear your garments, you'll be pater? And the person responds, well, you think you won't be pater? So then he means, yeah, you will be pater. So it depends how the niggin, of how the person says it. That's Rashi's pshat in the Gemara. Okay, Tosfos though disagrees. Tosfos says that it's hard to say that the whole distinction here in the Mishnah, even though it seems to be making a distinction between the person's own body or his possessions And the whole point of the distinction, there's really no distinction between them. It just depends on how you're saying it, the way you're expressing it. In the niggin, it says that's not the difference. Taisa says, when a person says yes by harming his own body, we understand that he means the yes, b'loshen tema. Even if he didn't say it with that niggin, he must have meant it b'loshen tema. And when he says no, b'negei garment, unless he clarifies otherwise, we understand that when he said no, he meant yes. He meant that he gave him permission. If he gave him permission, so then it's okay. Gemara brings a source for this. We learned this. It says this in the Braisa. Hikani, petzaani, almanas lifter. You can hit me. You can injure me. Almanas that you'll be pater. Va'amaloi hein. And then afterwards he responds and it says, if you're asking, would you be pater? And he says yes. Hariyesh hein shukalav. Sometimes the yes really means no, and over here it means no. And krask susi. But if he tells a person, you can tear my garments, al manas liftoir, and then he explains, and the person asks him, al manas liftoir, will I be potter? Vamaloi lav, and he says no. Harei lav shukein. Over here, in this case, the lav could actually be a hain, and this person would be potter. Then it says, it said in the Mishnah, Shvaris kadi krask susi chayev, that this case we're just speaking about. You tell a person, you can break my jug, you can tear my garments. And so then the person will be chayiv, unless you clearly specified and said, al manas, you'll be potter. So on that the Gemara asks, V'ramini, I'll ask you from what it says, and Abraise, lishmar v'loila, and the Torah says lishmar. This is by a shomer. You give him something, you give him an object to safeguard, and the Torah there says lishmar. Yeah, so it's the lashon of the pasuk. So lishmar means only if you give it to him to safeguard, but v'loila abed, not if you're giving it to him and you're telling him you could destroy it. So you're giving him permission. And lishmar v'loila kroya, you're giving it to him to safeguard, not if you're giving it to him in order to tear. Lishmar, you're giving someone an object in order to safeguard. V'loila chalek laniyim, not if you're giving it to him and it's not an object that belongs to the one that's giving it to him, but it's actually money of tzedakah that has to be distributed to aniyim. Because in such a case, if you destroy it or you're negligent with it and it gets lost, there's nobody that can demand any payment from you. Not the person that gave it to you because he doesn't even own it. And there's no specific aniyim, there's no poor people that can come and collect this. So in such a case also you'll be potter. What's the Gemara's question? You see here clearly that if he gives it to you la'abed or la'kraya, you'll be potter. It doesn't say in this brayso that the person added and said that you'll be al manas, that you'll be potter. Just the fact that he gives you permission to destroy it, you're already potter. So why does it say in our Mishnah that in such a case you're chayiv? Unless he gives you clear permission and he says, spells out al manas lifter. So Ravuna answers like Hashem. There's no question here. Ha the asili yodei. When it says that you're going to be chayiv for this, it's when it already came into your hands. A person already gave it into your hands, and after he gave it into your hands, he says that this that I gave you to safeguard. If you want, you could also tear it. You don't have to be careful with it. But he says that after it came into his hands. So because it came into his hands already, so therefore, for this, he's going to be responsible unless the person told him befedish that this that I told you, that if you tear it, you'll be potter. He has to tell him befedish that it's going to be potter. But if the object did not yet come to his hands, he comes and tells the person, you see that object that I have over here in my house? You can tear it. You can do whatever you want with it. So if it didn't come to his hands yet, then he's going to be potter. Even without telling him befedish, al manas, that you're going to be potter. And that's what the Brais was speaking about when it brought the drasha of Lishmar. That he tells it to him regarding an object that's in his house before he gives it into his hands. But Rabbi asks on this answer, in the Braisa as well, it's also mashma that he's already giving it into his hands. Because Lishmar, the Braisa is darshaning the lashon of the pasuk. When you're giving it, the lashon of the pasuk over there, it says, Kihitin ishal re'eyu, you're giving it into his hands, Lishmar, that he should guard it. Dasil yadeh mashma. Over here, it's mashma, not that you're telling a person here, this is the object in my house, and if you want, you can tear it. It's mashma that he's giving it into his hands. And still the Braisa says that when he's giving it into his hands, and he tells him that he can destroy it, he'll be potter. Even if he does not tell him clearly, al manas, that you'll be potter. So you can't make this distinction. So Rabbi says a different answer, similar but a little different, as follows. In both cases, in our Mishnah and in this Braisa, we're talking about a case where a person is giving this person an item to safeguard. But what's the difference? There's no kasha whether this person would be potter if he destroys it when he was given permission to do it. Because in the case of our Mishnah, he gave it to you l'shem shmira. He says, I'm giving this to you to safeguard. So then, if he gave it to you with that intention that you should safeguard, if he later on comes back to you and tells you, by the way, this item I gave you, you can destroy it. You don't have the right to destroy it unless he tells you before you're going to be potter. You already got a din of a shemit on this. Over here he's giving it into your hands, but he's giving it to you right in the beginning, and he's saying, this that I'm giving you into your hands right now, to safeguard, he gives it right away, but you can destroy it. So therefore he doesn't have the din of a shemit right from the beginning, so therefore he'll be potter. The Gemara brings a story that happened in connection to what we said before regarding taking something that belongs for aniyim. There was this wallet of money for tzedakah, the asila pumbedisa, that was delivered to the city of Pumbedisa for the poor people. So now after that, Rav Yosef gave it to safeguard by this individual that he should hold it for the poor people. Pasha ba, this person was negligent with it. Asa gamvi gamvua, and people came and stole it. So now the question is he responsible to pay for this? Rav Yosef obligated this shaymer to pay for the fact that it got stolen. So he's a shaymer, and he made him responsible for this. So Amalei Abai asked him the question, but Vatanya, we learned in the Brisa that we had here before. Lishma, when the Torah says that you have to safeguard it, that's only if you're safeguarding it for a particular owner. But not if you're safeguarding tzedakah, which is distributed for aniyim. Who are you safeguarding it for? Who's going to come now and collect the money from you? There's no particular owner that could demand of you to pay back what got lost here. So why does he have to pay her what got stolen from him? So Rav Yosef answered him, make it kaitzlu. The poor people of the city of Pumbedisa, there was a set amount of money that they got from the tzedakah fund, specific aniyim, specific amount of money for every Shabbos, for every week, and therefore it's like they have a certain percent in this, that they're owners, that they can come and demand for what got stolen here. V'lishmeru. So therefore, this does fit the category of lishmer, that you're safeguarding it for a specific owner, for these aniyim that have a set amount. Therefore, Rav Yosef Paskin, in this case, he does have to pay them for this. We shall return to you the 8th Perek of Bava Kama, Perek HaChovel. Okay, we begin the 9th Perek of the Masechta. The 9th and the 10th Perek of this Masechta will discuss the different halachas that there are when you get a ganev and a gazlan, how he has to pay back, and all kinds of halachas that relate to that. We had a little bit of this already in Perek Merubah. Here we come back to some other more halachas. Mishnah actually begins with the halacha that we learned already before in Perek Merubah. A person that steals wood, and then he fashioned it, he turned it into vessels. Or tzemer, he steals wool, and he made it into garments. So mishalem kishasa gzeila. So first of all, the halacha the Mishnah here is saying is that when you steal something and you turn it into a new object, you're kaine b'shinui. We had before, Rashi brings it, the pasuk says that v'heshav sagzeila asher gazal. Asher gazal means if the object is in the same condition like it was when you stole it, then you return the object itself. But if not, then you're kaine the object itself, and you only pay money, the value of it. So over here, you turned it into a keli or into a garment, so you don't pay back what you stole itself. You pay back only the money for this. But the value of what? The value that it had at the time when it was raw material, when you stole it. Gazal pare, if the person stole a pare mu'beres, that is, a person stole a pregnant cow, v'yalda, then it gave birth. Rachel tu'una gzaza, or a sheep that has a lot of wool on it, and then he shared this wool. Mishalem de me para hoi medes leilit. So then you have to pay. So now the animal that gave birth. So what was born here, or the wool that's shorn from this sheep, that you can keep, because that's a shinu, that's a numitzias. It was just born now, or you cut it off the sheep, that you can keep. Now the para itself, though, you pay back the may para ha'imedes leiled. You have to pay back now the money of a para that is pregnant. Now, according to Rashi's opinion, the actual pada itself, you have to give back to the owner. But when you give back the actual pada itself, you're still missing something that you stole that you didn't give back, because you stole a pregnant cow. Now you're giving back a cow that's not pregnant anymore. So the value of that, additional value of a pregnant cow, that you're going to have to give the money for, because the baby that was born is a shinui. Even though the shinui didn't happen through your action. You see over in the Mishnah, a shinui that happens automatically, but still, it was born, automatic shinui, you kind it. But you have to pay back that extra amount of what it now is not there in the cow. And same thing also to mei rachel and medes ligazes. You have to pay back that extra value of this rachel that had all this wool on it that you already keep for yourself. That you have to pay back. Gaz al pada, a person stole a cow. It became pregnant by the gazlan. and V'yolda, and then it gave birth. Rachel, he stole a sheep, V'nitana etzloi, and it grew all the hair, the wool on it by this person, Ugzaza, and he shore it by him. Mishalem kishas agzeila. So over here, you have to pay only the value of what it was at the time when you stole it. It became pregnant by you, and it had a baby. All that you don't have to pay back. That you keep for yourself. You just give it back the way it was at the time of the gzeila. Zeh klal, the rule here is kol hagazlanim mishalem kishas agzeila. When you pay back the value of gzeila, you pay back the value that it was at the time of the gzeila itself. The Gemara will explain why the Mishnah has to add this klal here. So the Gemara Omri, they said, Eitzim, Vason, Kalim, in our Mishnah it's mashma that this whole halacha about a shinui, that you're kind of with a shinui. What kind of a shinui is that? If you have wood and you build a keli out of it, that's the kind of shinui that you're kind of. But shifon loy, but it's mashma though in our Mishnah that if it's a different kind of shinui, if you have wood that you sanded it or you smoothed it out, so you changed it a little bit, that's not a shinui that you're kind of. That's what it sounds like in the Mishnah. Or tzemev or some begadim in. If you have wool and you made garments out of it, that's a shinui, it's not a garment, so you kind of this. But libnon, if you just have this wool and you just bleached it, you whitened it, that law, you're not going to be kind of this. Question is, I'll ask you from a braisa where it says, Gozalates v'shifon, if a person steals wood and he sands it, or avonim v'sitzon, or he steals stones and he smooths it out, tzemev v'libnon, or the wool and he whitens it, pishton v'niko, or flax and he cleans it out, mishalem kashas agzela. So all of this, you kind of it itself because you changed it. It's a shina, you kind of, and you only pay the money the way it was b'shas agzela. So we see that all of these are considered to be a shina. When Abai answers, there's a difference. Tana Didon, in the Tana of our Mishnah, Katani Shini de Rabbanon. He is bringing up an example of a shini that's actually less of a shini, and that's only a shini mid Rabbanon. Why is it only a shini mid Rabbanon? Because the hadra, the kind of shini that our Mishnah is talking about and the object you stole, is a shini that could be returned back to its original condition. This is what's called a shini achayz libriyasai. That's the kind of shini our Mishnah is talking about. The kolshke shinui deiraisa. From our Mishnah, for sure you'll understand that a shinui that does not turn back to the way it was, that's a shinui minat Torah. That's what the Torah meant when it said asher gazal, that you'll be kained. So there, what the Gemara explains, eitzim vasan kalim. The case our Mishnah was speaking about, you stole wood and you made it into kalim. So what was the Mishnah talking about? Be'etzim meshupin. It's talking about already pieces of wood that are smoothed out and they're already sanded down and they're ready to be used to make a keli out of it. These are boards. These are boards that are ready to be used to build something with it. The shinui dehada so even if you build something out of it, you can then take it apart. So it could go back to the way it was before. The boy mishlaflo, you could take it apart. And the same thing, the case of our Mishnah, when it said, Semev asam begadim, you had the wool and you made garments out of it, but Semev tavoy, we're talking about the wool that you stole that was already spun. The shinoi, the hadal. So even if you make garments out of it, you can take it apart and you'll have that spun wool the way it was before. The boy sasele. That's the chiddush of our Mishnah. So this is minat Torah. This is not a shinoi. The Mishnah was saying that midrabanan chachamim were mesakin to make it easier for a ganef to be able to do tshuva. That he doesn't have to take apart what he built. He doesn't have to take apart the garment that he made, and he can give back just the value for it. And for sure, a shinui minat Torah, which is a kind of shinui when you sand it down or when you whiten it and it doesn't go back to the way it was before, for sure that's a kind of shinui that you would be kind of. Okay, that's the Tana of the Mishnah. But Tana Bera, the Tana in the Braise, shinui deraisa katani, he only brings up examples of a shinui minat Torah, which is a shinui that cannot go back to the way it was, of a shinui derabanan like katani. But the shinui of our Mishnah, which is only a shinui derabanan, that the Tana of the Braise does not mention. That's one answer. Ravashi says another answer. Tana didon nami shinui deiraisa katani. The Tana of our Mishnah is also speaking about a case where there's a shinui minat Torah. What is it talking about? Eitzim vason kalim. When the Mishnah speaks about that he took wood and he made a keli out of it, this is talking about the buchni. This is a buchni. Buchni is a pestle where a person takes a piece of wood. In order to make it into a pestle, you have to sand it down. So you're not just taking boards as is and building it and then you can take it apart. No, you make it a keli by sanding it down. And so now this is a shini that can never go back to the way it was. The hainu shifon. The example of our Mishnah, according to this answer, is basically the same point that the Braisa says, that you sanded it down. And Tzemevas and Begadim, when our Mishnah gives the example that you took wool and you turned it into garments, it's also an example similar to the Braisa when it will not go back ever to the way it was before. Nimti, this is when you turned it into a felt which cannot be taken apart, and it's a shini that never goes back. It's a shini that never goes back. So basically the Mishnah and the Braisa are both the same thing, just giving different examples. Fragt the Gemara, what the Braisa said, that if you take wool and you bleach it, you whiten it, then that's called a shini. Fragt the Gemara, v'libon mi have a shini. Is this true that this libon is considered to be enough of a significant change to this object, to this wool, that you kain it? But Amini, I'll ask you from what it says in the Mishnah. This is the Mishnah talks here about the halacha of reishis hageiz. When you shear the wool of the sheep, you have to give the first part to the kain. So there, the Mishnah says, "Lehispik litnei loy." You didn't get a chance to give the wool that you shore from the animal to the kain achet savai, and then you dyed it already. Potter. So you're going to be potter because now it's not anymore the reishis hageiz. You change it into a new object. Now it's already dyed, so you're potter. Libnoi v'loy tzavai. But if you only whitened it and you did not dye it, chayev. The whitening it's still the same wool that was shorn from the animal, and that you still have to give to the kain. So you clearly see just whitening it is not a shini. Abai answers it's a machlokes, like kashia, har Rab Shimon, har Rabbanan. It's a machlokes between Rab Shimon and Rabbanan, as we see in this brayse. The Tanya, as the brayse says regarding this halacha of reishis hageiz, gazazoi, if you shore the wool from the animal, and then tavoi, you spun it, and va'argai, and you already wove it as well. So then aim mitztaref. It will not combine to other wools that you shore from the animal in order to give it to the kain. But the halacha by reishis hageiz is there has to be a certain shear. There has to be 5 sheep, and there has to be a certain weight of wool in order to be chayev. So you can't combine this with other wool that you're going to be shearing because it's already changed. It's not anymore wool. Rab Shimon libnai, that is, if you whitened it, Rab Shimon just by whitening itself, that's a shini. Can't combine anymore to any other wool that you are shearing from the animals. Chachamim says no, it will combine because whitening it is not a shini. So you see right over here, it's a machlokes whether whitening the wool is considered to be a change or not. Rava says we can answer the contradiction before differently. Hava, Rab Shimon, both opinions go according to Rab Shimon. V'leikashi, it's not a contradiction. When you whiten the wool, so the naftse nefutzi over here, he whitened it, and in order to whiten it, he untangled this wool just with his fingers. So therefore, it's not a real shini because it's not yet smoothed out. But then, if a person whitens it and he also combs it properly, that's a full real shini. Rabchi Baravna says another answer. The chavre chivuri. In a case where he just washes it and he whitens it, that's not a real shini. The kavre kivruye. But over here, he's mamish bleaching it the way they used to do it then with fire, with smoke, and a different way to bleach it. That's a more permanent change. That's considered to be a change. Okay, but now the Gemara asks a question on Rab Shimon's opinion. What did we say before? Hashta yeshloima. We said before, tzava Rab Shimon lo yav shini. Rab Shimon, that we're going to see over here, the Gemara is going to bring a brayse right now that Rab Shimon holds, even when you dye wool, it's still not considered to be a shini, as we'll see right here. So the Gemara is now asking what we saw before, libon have a shinoi. So Rab Shimon before said that whitening is considered to be a shini. If even dyeing is not a shini, how could whitening be a shini? Where do we see that dyeing is not a shini? The Tanya, it says in the brayse, gazaz rishain, you cut off you shore the wool from the animal. And v'tzava, you dyed it, rishain, v'tavai, or you took off the wool and you spun it, rishain, v'argai, it was woven. Aim it started. It doesn't combine anymore for the shear for additional wool that was shorn from the animal. That's Bava Kama. Mishom, Rab Shimon ben Yehuda mi'oime, Mishom, Rab Shimon Yehuda says in the name of Rab Shimon, tzavai mitztaref. If it was dyed, then the dyeing does not change it really, and it's still going to be combined to other wools that you shear in order to be able to be the shear, to be chayav to give for the kain. So you see clearly Rab Shimon says even dyeing is not a shini. How can you say that whitening is a shini? Abai says, lekashe, it's a taka machlokes, what Rab Shimon holds. Ha Rabbanan libed Rab Shimon. The brayse we brought before is the opinion of Rabbanan that are quoting Rab Shimon, and Ha Rab Shimon ben Yehuda libed Rab Shimon. Over here it's Rab Shimon ben Yehuda that quoted Rab Shimon. It's a different opinion of Rab Shimon. Another answer the Gemara says, Rava says, Lo'elam le'pligi, Rabbanan led Rab Shimon ben Yehuda. The Rabbanan do not argue on Rab Shimon ben Yehuda regarding what Rab Shimon's opinion is. We had a steer over here regarding the dyeing. whether this is considered to be a shinui or not. It depends how you're dyeing it. Well, if you dye it in such a way that the color could then be removed with a soap, with some kind of a detergent, that's not a shinui because you can remove it. Then when it says over there that the dyeing is a shinui, that if you didn't give it to the kohen yet and you dyed it, then you're going to be potter. It's a shinoi, like kimne kedivri hakoil, and everybody agrees to this, even Abshimin. But kala ilon, that's if you dye it with this material called kala ilon. They have a translation for this kala ilon over there. I don't know, I'm not sure what kala ilon is. Some kind of an agent that dyes it that you can't take off the color. The loyavar, you can't remove it. So therefore, this is a kind of a dyeing that Abshimin holds that it's going to be a real shinoi.